Okay. All right. Are we ready? Yeah, guys. We can't do this every year. It was not even every year. It was now in March. So I'm gonna ask everyone to please stand. Yes, it's time. All right. There's this TikTok challenge that's like, get over here. Let's dance. That's the theme for this one. So, you guys ready? You need to dance. I'm just gonna say, let's dance, and you just dance. That's all you need to do. Okay? Muscle memory. You just need to move your arms. Alrighty? All right. Are you ready? Okay, everyone. Let's dance. Let's dance. Let's dance. Hey. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay. Thank you so much. That's the warm up. If you work out, you know, we always have a warm up before you do the workouts and everything. So, first things first, I would like to say good evening to our guests as well as to our colleagues that we have in the room. That is our astronauts. And if you are working, you are a colleague of ours, as well as our fellow champions of change. On behalf of EXO, I would like to extend a warm welcome to this gathering dedicated to celebrating extraordinary power and impactful women. Today, we come together to inspire, empower, and collectively champion for a brighter future. But before we delve into this inspiring program ahead, I would like to share a few housekeeping details because you guys know with every house, there are rules. And we do have rules. And I got them translated from German to English. So thank you, ChatGPT. Firstly, we are honored to have a photographer capturing this special occasion. She's right here. The footage will be used for internal and external communication purposes to amplify the voices and story of our incredible women. I always thought I did not have a good side when it comes to cameras. So normally when I take a picture, it's like here. Né? So all you can see is my nose and my eyes. But Benita knows my angles because when I saw myself on the post, I was like, okay, I do have an angle. Secondly, the restrooms are located down the hall. Ladies, your facilities are on the left, and gentlemen, yours are on the right. Lastly, to ensure an uninterrupted and enriching experience for all, we kindly request that you keep the noise levels to a minimum when using the restroom, especially during a speaker's presentation. Yeah, that's all I need to hear when you're walking down the hall. That's all I need to hear. That's it. Be like, oh my god. Yeah. That's basically that. Please do. It does echo. So if you also do go, please go alone. It is a solo trip. It is a solo trip. As we embark on this journey of celebration and empowerment, let us remember that every woman is a champion capable of creating extraordinary change. Together, we can build a world where equality, respect, and opportunity are the norm. All right, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Don't make me make you stand again. Don't make me do it. So I'm just gonna do the classic. Hey. Okay, I think you guys like that one better because you're sitting, so you don't have to dance. Alrighty, so these are our lovely guest speakers. I'm gonna stand here. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to introduce a woman who's not only an inspiration, but also a role model for inspiring MCs like myself. You guys remember, I have a lot of careers in hand. Ne? Please welcome the phenomenal Bully Ngomani. As a first time MC, I'm absolutely starstruck to be sharing the stage with someone who has mastered the art of captivating audience. This incredible woman has graced our screens, our radios, and countless stages with her undeniable talent and charisma. From leading corporate giants to captivating international audience, Bully G is a true master of her craft. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Wow, that's quite an introduction. Um, I suppose I just pressed the arrow, hey, because tech savvy people. Oh, it's Adele, thank goodness. I was thinking Mac. I must say, I know, it's just I know nothing. I must say that was probably one of the best intros I've ever heard. So thank you, babes. That's really, thank you for taking the time to write something so beautiful about me. And I also want to say I'm just so grateful that I could come to Cape Town. I said yes for two reasons. The first reason is that I met Adam. Who doesn't know Adam in the room? We all know him, right? Adam is the boss. Please, could you stand? Adam is he's the leader of AXO, as you see it. And I met him at the British Embassy. It was a mixer or a social event where we got to meet people from different industries. And he gave me his card. I looked at it and I thought, I'll never play in this space, but I'll keep it. Put it into my pocket and flew back home to Gqeberha. A year later, I got a call from Nashua and they were looking for an MC and they said, Willie, do you know anything about the future of work, AI, those kinds of topics? And I was like, of course I do. I knew nothing. And so I thought, okay, I'll fake it till I make it. But first, I have to do my research. I called him and he more than agreed to coach me on the latest developments. And I've always been grateful. My client was over the moon. They were very impressed with me, and I couldn't really give you the credit. So I lied. But this is why I'm so happy to be here today, because then I get to do something for you. So that's the first reason. And thank you. The second reason is coming. First things first. So my name is Bulichi, and I started off as a broadcaster. I was on radio, I was on television, and I've also been on stage. I've done a few theatrical shows and I still produce them. I've emceed lots and lots of events. I've been alive a while, but when you get to 50, which I'm very close to in a few months, you can't quite. Oh, I'll take that. Tell all the single men. Um, when you get to 50, it does somewhat become a blur, and in the best possible way. I'll tell you why. You get to have done so many things that all you want to do is impart knowledge. So, this is one thing I'm particularly passionate about and grateful for. So, I want to start by acknowledging the people who got me to where I am, which is part of my story. This is my family. That's my dad and my mom. He had good taste. And that's my brother and my nephew. My sister is married with her own family. They live here, Claremont in Cape Town. So she wasn't there that day. But my brother is one of my favorite people in the world, and he did pass 10 years ago. So he has a little boy who's now 12 years old. And he is the joy of my life. I get to see him, take him out on Father's Day. We just chill. He asks a lot of questions about dad. And I've managed to keep small items over the years, like his Man United No Judgment jersey and other small items that I know he'll appreciate. And he loves it. We get to have a big fat lunch. We don't look at the bill, we just swipe that card and we have a lot of fun. And 2 weeks ago, he called me and he said, Auntie Bully, please help me. I have a presentation to do. I'm not ready. I have to interview somebody who owns a business. And I was very reluctant, but I thought, okay, I'll help you. I said, when is it due? In 2 days, he said. Kids will kill you. So I had to really think about how to frame it for someone his age. What do I actually do? There's a lot of things I do, and sometimes it's hard to explain it. So my presentation will be primarily about that, explaining what I do, and then under the banner of leadership, just giving you a few tips and hints about how you can be a leader in your own life, because that's really important. We all have something, we're custodians of something. So I think you will enjoy that part because I'll have a few tales to regale you with. But now for the second reason why I'm here. I like to hang out with the cool kids. So at the moment, you guys are in the top row, and my friend over here in the front row is in engineering. So you're not doing too badly. You're stable. I do not like losers. I'm joking. I really am. But it's very clear to me. I often keep up with these kinds of stats only because I want to see clients who are either in need of me desperately, or ones who are going to grow me astronomically. The stable ones are nice to have on occasion, but this is the second reason why I'm here. You guys are currently the cool kids. So this is my nephew. Back to his story. We're outside my house, just grinning and enjoying life. And this is his presentation. Just to put you in context, I gave him a USB with all photos and details of what I do. I explained it to him, answered all his questions. He did the report, and he said, I need pictures for a PowerPoint, because at 12, they're learning PowerPoint. I know, babe. Private school vibes. So my aunt Willie G's business, Rhizome Creative. That is my business. Now, guys, this is not, I'm not like hanging out with Will Smith every day. But he is 12, okay? And look, a lot of what I do is described here. You've got me performing, and I got to perform with Miriam, the late Miriam Makeba, at the 10 years of democracy celebrations. I'm playing Beauty and Beauty and the Beast there, so that's theatre. I worked on the 46664 concert behind the scenes producing, and it was in Fancourt. And I've met most of the artists, because when you're in radio, your station inevitably sponsors concerts. So that is James Blunt, Enrique. He is so hot, by the way. Um, Side note, Celine Dion, and I did both her concerts, one in Gqeberha and the other one in Pretoria and Joburg. Yes, I emceed that. I was most excited to meet her, and I also, you'll see that I'm holding a violin. I'm not great at instruments. I have one instrument, my voice, and I think this encompasses the exciting bits. But there is real work to be done. After I retired from radio and television presenting, I went into communications. And the first job I was offered after my boss saw me emceeing an event at the Radisson Blu was to come back home to be the marketing manager of the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. I stayed there for 4 years. I got a lovely award from the Businesswomen's Association for my work, because I worked really hard. But part of that has to do with this great leader here, Rian Oberholzer, who's actually now SARU's CEO. Yeah, he has since also invited me back. And recently, before COVID, I was marketing manager of the British and Irish Lions, but COVID ruined that for me. So in the bottom here, you'll see lots of team photos, the Premier's birthday, all of that, just some of the events that I've been involved with over the years, some at the stadium and others elsewhere. I'm also an ambassador for Champagne brand, not that one. I don't think he knew better. That's one called Piaf. So this is just encompasses what I do, and I think I call it public relations because that's what I studied. I went into radio purely by error. I was promoting a show that was raising funds for kids to go to Norway to sing in a choral competition, and the radio station program manager was blind, and he heard me. He's like, "Listen, you have to come back for a voice test," and I was like, "What? Okay, I'll come back." And the rest is history. Offered me a weekend slot on a community radio station, and I just ran with it. So that's pretty much, I think, in a nutshell, what I do. There are other things. I find that the older you get, the more you get requested to solve problems. I'm not a fixer. I've never dated the president, but especially I was not sure. But I do have to solve a lot of problems. I'll give you an example. When we had an event recently, which was about the outcome of the politics and the elections that were held at the end of May, I think it was, yes. When we had an event that was for political analysts to analyze, and these guys were such intellectuals that nobody really had the skills to put together this event. So I was called in 3 weeks before it happened, and I had to find a media sponsor, sort everything out, pull together a team that was going to execute. So inevitably, I've become known for fixing things. Now, some of you may know me from reality TV, but most don't know how I got involved with Real Housewives. I got called in January by 5 production companies asking me to help them cast. I wasn't going to be part of the cast. I chose one company. We pulled together a cast. We competed with the others, and I won. Yes. And having won, they requested me to be a part of it. In fact, the girls didn't want to do it on their own, and I don't blame them. But they were really bitchy to me, but let's move on. They didn't want to do it on their own. So in the end, I ended up being part of the cast. I solve problems. That's my job. And that's really built me up into somewhat of a leader. So I can speak with authority on this, saying that sometimes it just finds you. I've yet to meet a leader who like volunteers screaming and shouting, putting their hands up in the air, because it's not as glamorous as one might think. Someone didn't listen to your housekeeping. It's not as glamorous as one might think. I think everybody wants position. They all want attention. They all want to be in charge, but there's a lot that goes into it. It is about selflessness and service, leadership, essentially. You're a custodian of many things that you should be respecting. It could be people's aspirations when you're guiding them in a career that they're in. It could be you're a custodian of a goal that people want to achieve. You know, there's a lot of responsibility involved, and sometimes we don't talk about that. So I showed you all the glamorous stuff so I could be a downer next. I'm joking. But the one thing you need above all else is freedom. You need freedom when you're a leader. And it's a hard earned freedom. Let me explain. According to academics, there are 40 types of freedom. Some of them have to do with politics and countries and what people can and can't do, etc. I know Germans have more rules than everybody, but let's forgive them for that. Sorry. Anyone who's German in the room? Freedom means a lot of things to different. There are countries in the world where people have so much freedom that they don't know what to do with it. And there are countries here in this continent where people have far less freedom. But there are freedoms we can control, like freedom of thought, freedom of things that you actually take in. You can control a lot of aspects of freedom. And the examples I'm going to give you next will actually improve your leadership skills. Because if you try to be more free in how you treat yourself, how you live your life, that's one of the reasons why I continue still to this day as an adult to do a million things, because they bring me pleasure, because I'm good at them, and because even if I'm sitting in front of a panel of judges being judged for a business award, and one of them says, "Oh, but weren't you in a play last week? Didn't you sing? Isn't it like a bit schizophrenic?" Yeah, they've said that. And then I think to myself, you know what? This has happened before, but the journalist phrased it differently. She says, Bully is a Renaissance woman. These are concepts people don't really embrace. And they gave me freedom, those descriptions. So I'm always looking for ways in which I can give myself permission to just be myself for a living, which for me is the goal. That's the freedom I aspire to. Okay, let's talk about opportunity. The first thing that will free you is becoming a master of opportunity. I'll give you a practical example. As you know, I'm an MC, I'm often booked. I try to only do the really major events in my city or province or even in the country. Our former president, Jacob Zuma, signed a deal with the Chinese for 600 million. The company was called BAIC, which is the Beijing in automotive company. We Googled it last night, but my memory after just a sip of wine is slipping. But I was very privileged to have been requested to MC. The Industrial Development Corporation asked for me, and they had a Chinese translator. That's me on the day. It was a sod turning. They were about to till the soil with those golden spades, and the minister was going to cut a ribbon, and it was just a lovely day, televised worldwide. And to billions in China too, because obviously it's one of the biggest deals ever on the continent. I was very privileged to have been a part of it. And I saw in this moment an opportunity for future business, but I shelved it. Took a few years for them to build the factory. COVID came along in 2019, and I kept in touch with the team trying to find out what was happening. And very recently had another opportunity when they invited me to come for a launch for one of the vehicles and a factory tour. And it all resulted, because I have a big mouth, in this. This is my baby, a BAIC B40, yeah. So I'll tell you how I got her. During the tour, I was looking at the history of the company, and I saw a photograph of the sod turning. And in the corner, there I am grinning behind a mic with all of the VIPs signing an agreement at the bottom. And I was like, that's me. I called the CEO, I called the head of marketing, called everybody to have a look. I even posted about it. And when they were looking for ambassadors, I was like, but why not me? You don't get many 50-year-old brand ambassadors, do you? But I got the deal because I have a history with them. So sometimes the opportunity lies in waiting just a little while to make it happen. But when you're a master of opportunity, you learn how to juggle many balls. Some of them need to be juggled a little longer than others. But 2016 is a long time ago. But now I don't have to worry about car. My car is parked at home. Mileage is safe. I drive around in theirs. I drove down in it. It's in the hotel parking lot. So become a master of opportunity, firstly, by recognizing that some of the opportunities you get will lead to something you want, hopefully. Okay, so this is one of the ways, because obviously there were a lot of people who wanted this. You need to benchmark yourself against the best. I can't be offering to be that brand ambassador if I'm not better than some of the other people. But I made sure that I checked who was also going to be in the running, and I made sure I was better than them. It's brutal, but it's necessary. I think most leaders do that. In order to lead a team, you have to be someone who thinks in terms of quality, and wanting to get ahead is about winning, unfortunately. Use your unique personal attributes and talents to get ahead. My story is very different to everybody there. All of them had like hundreds of thousands of followers, and they were influencers, and you know the usual influencers. I'm not going to mention names, but they're all like half naked and gorgeous and yellow bone. I'm not that, but I have a story, and my story is before that factory was built, I was there. Yeah, I'm part of their story in South Africa. I'm the first South African they employed. They made me rehearse 17 times, but I'm in the story. I didn't complain once. Be excellent, and then you determine your pace. Like I said, juggle the balls at your pace, and when you're ready, go for the jugular. Second tip, master of resilience. Woo. Okay, I figured this was for the ladies because I thought there'd only be ladies, but sorry, guys. Ladies, this is for you. I thought resilience could best be described by this topless gentleman. Resilience, I have no idea who it is. But I have a story about resilience in which I was a few years ago, 2017, 2018, asked by my mayor to serve on the tourism board. I know you guys have quite a lovely structure here. You've got Brand Cape Town, etc. We've got something similar on a smaller scale. You get nominated by the mayor. I was very excited to be on this board with 11 other people. Served for 18 months, ended up being chairperson. And as you know, our city changes mayors a lot. So we had a few mayors come and go, and eventually they didn't pay the organization. So I had to sue the city. And every day there was a headline about me being a bitch. EFF hated me. ANC hated me. Everybody hated me, but I had 40 jobs to say. I did win the court case. We did pay off the staff their packages for retrenchment, and we did get back in the black, and I was so exhausted because I was really hated, trust me, that I went to Bali for 2 months, drinking tropical drinks and doing nothing. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do, hey? I'm not just talking about going to Bali to recover. I'm talking about the difficult things. What's that? Oh, that's me in the rain in Bali. I'm like, oh, there's sound. There's sound. Awesome. I didn't realize. I'm like, what's that? Sometimes it's hard, eh? You got to be open-minded. I mentioned that. Embracing leadership is embracing the fact that it's also hard. It's not just glamorous, right? And be inspired to continue and also craft your goals with care and diligence. But more importantly, you have to be risk averse, guys. Nobody's always going to love you. You have to have an appetite for risk. You have to make friends with fear and occasionally being hated. The old pros and cons list is not retro at all. Please do it. It's like it was my sanity at the time. And then just trust your gut. I knew I was doing the right thing. The organization I was serving was started by the people, and the city was trying to tank it, and I knew I had to save it for the people. I don't know what condition it's in. For my mental health, I walked away completely, but I left them in the black. I did my job. So for me, I'm good. So please be comfortable with being hated, guys. It's not easy. But there's a great poem, and I'm going to find it so that I can share it. It just came to my mind about not being hated isn't anything to boast about. It's a beautiful poem. If I find it, I'll also read it for you. Okay, Master of Self. It's the next one. This will really free you because we can't control everything. I think there comes a time in your journey when you start to ask the spiritual questions. The people closer to my age, which I'm not, I could be the oldest person in the room. I don't know. I think I have a friend in the back. Hi. Okay. So I don't know, but I wanted to say there comes a time in your journey when you do start to ask the spiritual questions. Where am I? Where am I going? What's it all for, etc. And you've got to give yourself the permission to carry that through. I'm a bit of a control freak, so when it started happening to me, I studied theology for 8 years. Yeah, I had a monk who sold his Ferrari moment. I was working at Coca-Cola. I was an international executive for Asia and Africa, flying business class everywhere, living the dream, doing PR for them, and they retrenched me. And I had a monk who sold his Ferrari moment. And I went into a bit of a meltdown that helped me to find Jesus. And now everything I do is by faith. It's different for everyone. Whatever it is that you need to do, embrace a faith journey because you're not going to be able to do it alone. Because as you rise, I can guarantee you, you're going to need to have something that's a foundation. It's not even a joke. I spent so much time winning so many awards, building myself up, being the best at everything, that I forgot to actually build my faith muscle. So by the time I got to the top, it was very easy for me to be toppled. It shouldn't be a 2-month recovery process, although it was really lovely in Bali. Should be far less. And now it is because I do have that faith. Some things I don't try to control anymore. So this is the part where I want to say that if you are going to be a leader, you're going to need this skill. I don't know how to put this without offending young people, but don't be naked on Instagram, guys. Just everything you do it for the person you're going to be, not for the person you are. A young man asked for my reference just the other day, but he's always posting sexual jokes on Facebook. And I said to him, I'm not going to do it until you clean up your act because I'll be lying. It's actually a little bit offensive for a woman. Very talented and intelligent. I refused. There, I said it. You need a balanced leadership like you're not the boss at home. And it's okay. I'm fine with that. I don't mind being bossed around. My nephew bosses me around. Identify your mentors, tormentors, and competitors. I love tormentors because I find I do better with a tormentor than I do with a mentor. Tormentors are really mean people who make you want to prove that you'll be something because you just can't stand the fact that they don't believe in you. Competitors are easy because at least you know, okay, I'm competing with so and so. It doesn't have to be mean-spirited, but it exists, so let's not deny it. And then develop an open rapport with people who have networks. I aced that gig because I knew Adam. So, oh, there's a little mistake there, shame. Tandy did this in a hurry for me. But what I want to say is, as you embrace your leadership journey, take a few lessons from what happened to me in those 3 stories and some of the tips that I've given you, because I think at the end of it all, the journey is about what you're called to do. It doesn't have to be anybody else's but yours. And as you execute, I'll leave some of these notes with you, not know if that's okay. And as you execute any of my advice, remember you're doing it for you and your journey. You're not doing it for me or for the person next or for your boyfriend or for your parents. My parents forced me for many years to study things I didn't want to, and I did it for them. But the time came when I had to make decisions for myself. So I think being a leader really is about mastering self, becoming a master of opportunity, and having the resilience to see it through. and never forgetting that you're supposed to serve above all else. You're serving. You're not just serving the people that you're leading, you're serving the community that you're serving. There's a lot that people forget in this space, particularly mine, entertainment. It's really about, there's a lot of ego, right? So I hope that I've given you a little bit of some food for thought so that you're able to navigate it a little better and understand that you can expect there to be people who won't like you. You can expect that there will be times when it's not fun. But what you can also expect is that if you are a natural leader or gifted to do it or born to do it, or if it's your journey, there's nothing that can stop you except yourself. Thank you. How did I do for time? Yeah. Listen, how well timed is that? Because I said I've got 5 minutes for questions about anything, even if it's about what I spoke about, great. If it's about anything else, I'm happy to answer. Anyone got questions? Stefan? Oh, by the way, this is my friend Stefania. I asked her to be here. Always, I love a friendly face in the crowd. She and I have known each other for years, decades. I need a friend. Like, this is me looking after my mental health. So my friend dresses me for all, you saw the videos of me in TV. She dresses me for all the TV stuff I do. Yes, she used to, and she's giving me this nice bag for tonight. Pick the right friends, guys. She works at Joe Pocket. I told you networking is everything. You're going to say one day, Sis Willie said, yes, young man, can you tell me your name? Do you have another mic or is this? Yeah, I'll go to you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Edwin. I just wanted to ask, you said about you have worked in many fields. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that how do you know it's the right time to like move on? Because you said trust your gut. Yeah, but now sometimes like when you face adversity, you might think it's not for you, but maybe you just need to like take that step and push harder.
So if I'm tackling a project, right? Like when I encountered, if I'm tackling a project, like when I encountered resistance from the city and the politicians, whereas I was in a neutral space, right? I could have quit, but I knew that I had to get to the point where I was so perfect at doing what I had to do that I wouldn't look back. It's the only way you can move. So even if you're learning a skill, don't leave until you've got it. Because you chose to go there. Why are you going to leave? Don't quit until you've got it. The only time you'll ever be able to leave without looking back and with no regret is if you get to some point of perfecting it. And perfecting it is different for everybody here. So for me, it was, let's get back in the black. Let's get these people at least a settlement they deserve so that I can walk away and sleep at night. Funny thing is, on being hated, one of the young gentlemen, I bumped into him in the mall and I greeted him, one of the young gentlemen I retrenched. I greeted him and he said to his friend, oh, this is the lady that retrenched us. Mind you, there are 11 people on the board, but I was the leader. And I looked at him and I thought, he's been carrying this for 7 years. And I said to him, but don't you know that it was a tourism board decision? He looked a little bit shaken by that. He had spent so much time hating me. So you've got to make allowance for people misunderstanding. And when you get to the point where you feel, okay, I've done what I came to do, that's when you leave. Never leave before that. You'll regret it with anything you do. Whether it's a good thing to learn a skill or whether it's a tough thing that you have to get through. Decide what's the threshold. When can I walk away and know I'm done? Yeah. Great question. Anyone else? The gentleman in the back there. You look like you want to say something, but I won't put you on the spot. Anyone else have a question? Yes.
Hi, friend. What is the moment in your career that you're the most proud of? That is your standout highlight thus far?
Okay. Oh, you're gonna make me cry. No, it's okay. So I've got quite a few awards. I've been on Melon Garden 200 Young South Africans. So excited when I was on there. I've won BWA Business Achiever Award. I've won, but when I was up for the BWA Award for the corporate category, my dad passed away in March, the day after my nomination. I wanted to quit. Supposed to go in for the interview. I was so freaked out. I had a panic attack in front of the judges. They asked me how I'm doing, and I said, I'm fine. And then I had a panic attack. Ooh, it was tough. And even on the night that they were going to announce the winners, I still didn't think I was going to win. I was broken. Yeah, so I'm most proud of that because even though he didn't see, literally the day before we were talking about it and he passed the next day. So I'm most proud of that one. He would have been very, very proud of me. Yeah, so I'm proud of the Business Women's Association Award for that reason. Not for any other reason. It's shiny like the others, but it's the one that holds the fondest and dearest memory for me. Yeah. Thanks for asking. And that's it. Okay, my time is up. If you want to chat to me, I'm still here. I'm going to have a little wine now. So chat to me at your own risk, but thanks once again for listening.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. So during the week, Bully G sent me a VN, right? And I don't know how many times I played your VN. I was so mesmerized by her voice. I was just like, I get why she was in radio because I'm just like, she could tell me anything. She'd be like, go, let's jump in the fire. I'd be like, yes, I'm following you right there. Thank you so much. And she's just absolutely lovely. I love her energy and it speaks even through an image. And I sent her an email. Adam made me draft an email to Bully to invite her to this event. I have never not wanted to send an email so bad. And I remember I'm like, I need to proofread this. I had my cousin proofread it. I had Kati proofread it. I had Adam proofread it. I was like, this is a board of directors proofreading of emails. And I sent her the email and her reply was like, that is like the sweetest email. I was like, yes, I made it. I was so happy. I even told my mom, I'm like, oh, Bully loves my email. And she's like, oh, Bully Gina. I'm like, hey. And she's like, I know her. I'm like, well, I know her. Definitely. So I'm so excited. I was so excited about that. Thank you so much. I love the resilient aspect of it all. As you guys know, there are so many careers I wanted to do. The last time I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. No. My parents, parents being dream killers, but we do it for them, but at the end of the day we still have to do it for ourselves. And that's how I ended up here and having a great leader like Adam. So yes. I'm scared to do this one. Because we're gonna have another little breaky. It's not gonna be a dance, but I went to a concert once. I don't like going outside. I like being inside walls, I can control everything. And at that place, they had like the song. So I was like, how am I going to do it in a way that we can do it today, right? So, because we are doing leaders, I was like, I'm going to be like, is it EXO, we want a party? Or is it Amy, because Amy is organizing the event. She's right there at the back. We want to party, And then, but the big boss, the black card, Adam. And I remember, I was like, that's the one. So, Adam, we want to party. Adam, we want to party. That's going to be his new song. I'm going to start doing it in the office. I didn't hear you guys. Because this event would not happen without Adam's yes. And he always says yes, and the and means it's time for you to prepare. So one more time. Hey, Adam, we wanna party. Nice. So we can have future events. All right. I am going to introduce our next guest speaker. I keep standing in front of her. Right? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming a trailblazer in the world of STEM. Do you guys know what STEM is? Yeah, right. Thank you. Okay. As a fellow woman in a field often dominated by men, I look up to Nadia Musaji for her unwavering dedication to breaking barriers and creating opportunities for others. She's a visionary entrepreneur, a passionate engineer, and a relentless advocate for gender equality. We need her. With her groundbreaking work at Woman Hub and Women Inch, Nadia is driving innovation and empowering women across the globe. Let us give her a warm round of applause.
She's so great. She needs a raise, right? Oh, yeah. Because you see, I know whenever you stand in on kind of stages, whether it's physical or whether virtual, I always have to. I feel like I need to go. Hi, I'm Nadia. I'm an engineer. Everybody's like, "Hi, Nadia," and my vision is to create more female billionaires in the world. And a very intentional B for billion because and bear with me guys to the lovely gentleman in the room. You see, when men have money, they spend it on things like rocket ships and submarines. When women have money, we do things that matter like community development and making the world a better place. And so, so that's why that is, and I always look at our friends at Amazon, that divorce was nasty, but it was 50-50, right? And one went to space and the other one became one of the biggest philanthropists in the world, right? So, so I'm on this mission, but this mission started a long time ago. So how did this engineer turned entrepreneur, turned investor, turned chief tinkering officer at WOMHub, turned apparently one of the most disruptive women in tech. And I was like, yes, finally somebody appreciates my disruptive nature with an award. Thank you, Women in Tech. And it really started a long time ago. And, Willie, you don't look 50 at all. No.
Tell all the single men.
I will. I'm just, I'll spread your gospel. But I turned 40 this past weekend. Thank you. My back is feeling it. This could also be having an 18-month-old that is like attached to me 24/7. And what's been incredible is 20 years ago, 2 decades, I was a female engineering student right here on the foothills of Table Mountain. And I was studying civil engineering. Not because I really loved engineering, but I got into it by, I call it sheer dumb luck or divine intervention, whichever one you want to think about it. Usually people go, Nadia, what did you want to be when you grow up? They always ask those young people these questions, and I always wanted to be a lawyer, right? And that was mostly because I used to talk a lot. So please just time me and then just bring that hook out and just pull me off stage when I'm going too fast. And my mom and I was like, no, lawyers talk a lot, so I'm going to be a lawyer. But also I had a problem telling the truth when I was little. And I thought that's what lawyers did, spread the truth thinly. And my mom was like, no, you can't be a lawyer. You've got to, you've got so many gifts. She doesn't even remember this conversation. So the power of mothers having these like questions that send you into existential crisis is amazing. And so I went to the place that has all the knowledge in the world, Google. And what does a person do? And I loved geography. I like tectonic plates. I like volcanoes. And I was like, no, I'm gonna, what do people who like tectonic plates do? And it was geologists, right? And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, Mom, I'm gonna be a geologist. And she said, no, you can't be a geologist. You work in the mines, and no, that's not a place for women. So I was like, okay, what do people who like geography, who like a geologist but not a geologist? And it spat out geotechnical engineering, which is in the Department of Civil Engineering. And that was amazing, except when I applied to UCT for 1 degree. That's it. the biggest, riskiest choice that a 11-year-old would make, grade 11 would make. And what was interesting was I also used it to stump everybody, right? Because people really didn't know what engineers were in my family, right? So people would be like, my sister's a doctor, so everybody would be like, oh no, she's studying medicine, she's gonna be a doctor. And we're like, oh yeah, Indian families. And then they were like, she's gonna be an engineer. And my brother's an economist. Yes. My other brother did business science and in food science. Everybody's like, yeah, food, no, we get it. And then there was me. And one of my uncles, old, it's like 90 years old, and we went to visit him, and my dad's like, no, it's doctor, it's economist, it's engineer. And he's like, and I was like, the people who, I'm being helpful. We build roads and bridges. And he's like, oh, a bricklayer. And I was like, humbling for an engineer, very humbling. But when I got to my third year, two things actually happened. One, I realized that geotechnical engineering was really boring and not for me. But I loved being in civil engineering because honestly, people are so complex. And civil engineering is all the things that has to do with civilian, and so civilian infrastructure. And I always reminded myself on the bridge in the N2, which is really amazing. And they build these beautiful bridges to cross the highways. And then you see people still dashing between the traffic, right? Like they're running a gauntlet, and all the cows going on the bridges. And I'm like, why are people like this? And so because people are always a challenge, I loved the work that I was doing in civil engineering, and I became a transport engineer. And that was my specialization. But the second thing that happened was they make all engineers go on to go and work and do vacation work. And I went and I interned, and I was so excited because, going to be an engineer. And I worked on a steel fabrication plant because I had a bursary with a steel company. And turns out that I was the only intern that wasn't paid. I just also happened to be the only intern that wasn't a male. And I was harassed while I was on site. And a long time I didn't talk about it because we didn't have the word like cyberbullying and cyber harassment. And UCT at the time had such a poor cybersecurity piece that if you knew somebody's name and surname, you could guess their student number, right? It was the first 3 letters of the surname, 3 letters of the name, 001, right? So this guy found my email address, he got access to my academic records, he'd send me the most awful things. And I never told anybody about it because I was like, but I did smile at him. But I smile at everybody. So like, honestly, but in that moment, I was like, I'm going to go work for McKinsey, right? Because McKinsey loves engineers. I'm going to go work at management consulting, whatever that is, right? And turns out that when I got back to university and I started speaking to other female engineers, they all had similar conversations. And 20 years ago, I reflect on it, I was working at Athlone Stadium. We were busy constructing stadiums and airport parking lots and airport buildings. And I had to dash across the road to go to the bathroom at the KFC. So KFC is really great bathrooms, by the way. But don't worry, I always used to buy a meal. I'm not that person who just uses free toilet services at KFC. And I realized that if everybody left, nothing would change, right? And so, I always say I solve for pain. And that's what we do as entrepreneurs. And so we started on this mission, and we were kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and we wanted to revolutionize the face of engineering. And we started an organization called Womenge at the time, SA Womenge. And it was around a few principles. One, how do we make sure that we bridge the gap between the old engineering industry and kind of this young, fresh talent coming in that had very different ways in which we look at the world. So meeting of the minds. And, some of the other pieces was around the pipeline is too small. So how do we actually get girls to choose engineering rather than kind of getting there by sheer dumb luck? And we started the Girl Eng programs in 2010. And in 2014, I was sitting at one of our programs, and this girl, Sipa, she's sitting next to me, and she's just like, I just want to say that I became an engineer because of you. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, I was a girl engineer. And I was like, oh, phone, how many more girl engineers are in the room? And like all these girls put up their hand because we weren't tracking it. There wasn't monitoring and evaluation. There wasn't all of that stuff. There was just us going and being able to kind of create a pipeline of more female engineers in the world. And it was absolutely incredible to realize that actually all we did was just talk to young women about something, because you can't be what you can't see. And it was just around how do we make engineering seen, and that we're not bricklayers, but actually we do cool stuff. We tinkerers, we innovators. And it was interesting because I had this kind of dual career path, because I was a technically qualified transport engineer, and we worked on really cool, exciting infrastructure. I actually got to work at the World Cup. I ran VIP transport operations for Cape Town Stadium. So I was there for all the players. I was actually, I was there for all of them, and also for people who thought they were VIPs, but they were not, right? And I was like, I really don't know who you are. I'm so sorry. Also, because I don't really watch TV, right? So I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, do you know who I am? No, I don't. Could you tell me who you are? I actually had somebody come and be like, do you know who I am? And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't. And everybody was like, it's the guy from Amistad. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And they're like, his name is Jamon. And I was like, and that's his partner who's got something called baby fat. And I was like, guys, and all my interns. Yeah. And I was like, I don't understand what it is. And all my interns just cringed. They were like, Nadia, how old are you? And I was like, guys, I'm in my 30s, right? I've got things to do, watching TV. And it was so interesting, being in a space as a transport engineer that people didn't think was even possible. But then I had to start to make some strategic decisions, because Womenj, the organization that we had founded, we were scaling. We were starting to run programs, because what we thought was a problem in South Africa around the lack of women engineers was actually a global problem. And we were running hackathons in South Africa, and then we scaled to Kenya. And eventually we've run programs in 33 countries around the world. One of the coolest partnerships we had was with a fast-moving consumer goods company and the Williams Martini racing team. Yeah, so we were in race locations around the world building high-precision engineering teams. Crazy stuff around how do we actually build incredible female leadership. And what was more interesting was I was pregnant at the time. And we went to Mexico. Honestly, amazing food. I've had a cheese called queso. Like, it just was. We were running a program. We didn't eat the whole day. My Spanish is like shaky at best. And I ordered like a whole table of food, and these two waiters looked at us, because me and my business partner were there, and he's like, there's no way these two girls will finish all this food. But they just brought it, because I mean, it's a restaurant, that's what they do. And we polished it all, and the guy was like, respect, and I was like, you know it. And so, it was really interesting. I was also pregnant, so I was eating for two. That's my excuse. And the next location we went to was Brazil. I couldn't go because of the Zika virus. And I'm keeping a list of all the places that my son owes me trips to. So currently I have Brazil, I've got London, I've got Singapore, I've got Thailand. Dude owes me big time. And now his brother's also got a list, right? So I've got 3 kids, 2 biological and 1 transplant, as I love to call her. I'm a guardian too. And what's been interesting around thinking about opportunities and thinking about actually different career paths, because where you start out may not be where you end. But we had to make the decision to be able to go. I left my full-time job because we were going to take a sabbatical. It was going to be a year. We had 6 months of saving in the bank so that we could focus on Womenj full-time. That was almost 10 years ago. So it's a really long sabbatical. The other day, our CEO said, Nadia, don't you want to take a sabbatical? And I was like, I thought this was the sabbatical. And so we started WomHub, which is a spin out of Womhenge, to build female engineering and tech talent, which was one of the pillars that we started out. But as entrepreneurs, when we kind of made the leap of faith into entrepreneurship, we found the landscape really hard for us. It was a lonely place. And people would always say, when the world said we don't have female engineers, we said, actually at Womenge, we'll make them. right? And then they started saying, oh, we don't have enough female entrepreneurs in the world. And I said, okay, cool, we'll make them. We've done this before, right? And so we run incubators and accelerators to support female founders in STEM businesses. So yes, you were right. You're like, yeah, we know STEM, science, tech, engineering, but our M is mining and manufacturing. So we work with women entrepreneurs who are like everything from facial recognition software and using AI to basically know your cow. So KYCs for cows, in Nigeria to, component manufacturers and open cast miners in the northern part of the country. Absolutely incredible women entrepreneurs. And we've worked with almost 400 female founders across the continent. And the challenge is the lack of money going into female entrepreneurs. Only 2% of venture capital dollars went to female-owned companies in last year and the year before. And we, at the time, we were growing. We wanted to expand our company. It was really amazing. And we decided we were going to buy the building. Billionaire mindset. We didn't have that in the bank, but we had the mindset. So we went to, financial institutions, and we were like, at the time we signed some big deals with big blue chip engineering companies. And they said to us, you know what, Nadia, you're just too risky, right? We just need another year of like track record. We need another year of traction. And I was like, at the time on our books, we had Unilever, De Beers, we had Sasol, we had the biggest engineering companies who are our clients who had signed multiple year deals, but we were too risky. And I remember this moment because I was sitting in New York. We were at the CSW, the Commission for the Status of Women, which is the largest gathering in New York after the annual the UN General Assembly. And we're sitting there at a Mexican restaurant because clearly we love Mexican food. And it was called Mad Dog and Beans. So if you're in New York, amazing Mexican food in New York. And I said to him and my business partner, you know what, we should start a bank. Because I'm just really tired of us not getting funded. Because if we can't get funded as engineers with collateral and everything, how are all the other women entrepreneurs going to get funded? And turns out it's really hard to start a bank, guys. There's licenses and all of these things. But we decided, actually, what we're going to do is start a venture capital fund, because that's like so much easier. Not. And so we said, okay, what we're going to do is $30 million fund. We're going to invest in seed stage entrepreneurs. And we don't have the $30 million. So now we have to go raise it. And now who's going to give us money, right? Nobody wants to give us the money for the building. You think they're going to give me $30 million? But it's around how do we become innovative and who do we ask that has never been asked before? Women have never been asked before. Have you ever asked, would you like to become an investor in a venture capital fund? And it was so interesting for us because we started asking women who were at executive levels and nobody had ever asked them. They had lots of money. They were earning really great salaries. And they were like, yeah, what does this mean? And we started telling them, actually, you could invest in other women entrepreneurs. This is what the fund does. It's not about feel good. It's not an initiative. It's all about commercial returns. We want to make money. And they were like, yeah, we want to make money. So we got our first $1 million from women around the world who were writing checks. And the funny story is we're talking to some women from the US that come to a conference here in Cape Town. And they came to our innovation hub and they were like, we love this. And she was like, nobody's ever asked me, you know what, you guys must come to church with me. Because I've got all these friends at church who are giving, and actually it would be great for them to understand how they can make money and invest in the continent. So my business partner went to church. I mean, I'm visibly Muslim and she is like spiritually Hindu at church. I mean, it was and in my journey, in 1 year, we had gone to the Vatican, and literally like not the front end, the back end of the Vatican. So like the gardens and stuff. We were at a Buddhist monk temple in China. And then I was at the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. So like we covered it all in terms of praying that we raise the $30 million. You got to cover all your bases, you need your faith. You need all the faith. And so we currently have deployed about $2 million of venture capital across the African continent. We're probably one of the largest capital movers into the hands of women entrepreneurs, but it is embarrassing at $2 million when so much more capital is needed. And the last, the piece of the puzzle, as we were growing, was around actually how do engineers, how do innovators tinker? And everybody has a story about the guy in the garage that started a tech company, right? But we don't have garages because my garage is filled with, I literally have to park my car outside now because it's kids' rubbish, guys. Just a warning, fair warning, guys, fair warning, okay? Okay. Because now my kids' cars, which are like little scooter stuff, is in the garage and I'm parking outside and walking into my house. So we don't have garages. And actually, during the height of COVID, everybody was like, okay, work from home. This is amazing. Actually, no, it's not for moms, because at the time I was delivering a keynote, and luckily it was like an internal town hall. And behind me on my dining room table was my son and a rabbit. Don't get a rabbit. It will eat everything, including your Wi-Fi, your phone chargers. Okay, very bad. And your doors and furniture. Anyway, so I've got the kid and the rabbit on the table. And I'm trying to keep a straight face, right, throughout this whole thing, like, because you've got to be professional. You're doing you're the leader. Everybody's looking up to you. And I just couldn't anymore because I was trying to give him the eye, but I didn't want my team to think that I was giving them the eye. So it was really hard. Yeah. And the next thing you know, hauled in by HR. They're like, Nadia, you're scary and unapproachable. Okay. So I turned the screen around and I was like, guys, this is what I'm dealing with right now. And everybody had a good laugh at it, right? I was like, we need a space. Where can women go where we just need to get stuff done? And we built our first innovation hub. So we finally got some money to be able to buy the building. And we built our first innovation hub in Johannesburg and the second one in Cape Town in Greenpoint. We don't own the building in Greenpoint, but one day, life goals. And what was interesting was we then partnered with one of the big tech companies in the world, and they basically gave us the most expensive technology that money can buy. So completely kitted out tech-enabled spaces. We've got VR labs, we've got secure fintech labs, we've got full-stack observability. And I love that you guys will understand this language, right? Exabu. But the highlight of our hubs, we've got an entire quadrant dedicated to wellness. So we've got one where you can do yoga and Pilates because I had sciatica, but also we've got a nap pod because napping is fitness. Okay. We've got a menopause lounge because all women will go through menopause. Not all of us, have kids. So, for those of you who don't understand what menopause is, it's a change of life for women. You get all these hot flushes. It's really terrible. That's why it's called menopause, right? And then just blame it on the men. And so we literally we created, it's a lazy boy. You've got that aircon going when that hot flush comes. There's a story I can tell. And we've got it's called the Junior Engineering Hub, right? So it's a co-play space for kids. So you can leave your kids there while you get some work done. And my kids are usually there. And we've also got a PlayStation 5 with VR glasses as part of the technology donation from Cisco. So we can talk afterwards how I got Cisco to give me a PlayStation 5. And then their CEO came down and he was here in South Africa for 4 days. It was the first time a big tech CEO was coming from Cisco was coming down to South Africa. And he spent 4 days in Cape Town, 2 days in our hub. And it was absolutely incredible. We had their VPs coming and spending 3 months in our spaces. And so every now and again, you can look down and you see all these senior leaders from a tech company coming into our space. And we did a walk around with him and he said, you know what, I should talk to Tim. You guys need some Vision Pros. I was like, yeah, we do need Vision Pros. You talk to Tim. He's like, how many do you need? I was like, I don't know. How many do you think Tim could give us? Like, and can you throw some MacBooks in actually while Tim is at it? Please, Tim. Our team needs new computers, right? So, and so it's interesting around asks, right? And the thing that I learned as an entrepreneur and specifically as a woman is that we always ask for the bare minimum, right? And we always we we do so much. And I always think about entrepreneurs, because when I look at entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs pitching, they always are pitching less for and asking less than their male counterparts. And they do so much with it. And I always say, does our money do like yoga and Pilates? Because it just stretches much further than males, right? I'm just like, how does this work? And so really, we've been on this mission to be able to support more women, to be able to get them to become more entrepreneurs, because this is a good for everybody in the economy. We've created 1,500 jobs by supporting women. Our venture capital fund, our thesis, it's called 535 Ventures. It represents the 35% higher return on investment when you invest in women equally, and the 5% GDP uplift globally if women were equal participants in the economy. And so for us, the numbers are symbolic because we're engineers. But a couple of years ago, being on this engineering path, being an entrepreneur, being an investor, I came across an article called My Life Online as an 11-Year-Old Girl. Now, if you don't want to sleep ever, like you can see the bags under my eyes, go read that article. And it was an anti-bullying company in the US that had taken a picture of a 30-year-old woman, aged it down to 11 years old, and put it on Instagram. And then they monitored it for the evening, and the worst of the internet happened. On this picture, 300 calls to this profile, asks of terrible nature. And in that moment, I was like, we do so much for being able to get women into the world and creating a safer world, but we actually haven't put the safeguards in our virtual world. And so I've now become a cybersecurity evangelist around how do we keep people safe online, right? We have given away our digital rights. We were like, you want to accept those terms and conditions? We don't even read it. We're like, yes, please, platform. I will take all my data, right? Now that I've accepted all those terms and conditions. And what we've done is we've actually weaved in cybersecurity training to all our programming. So high school kids are learning about how to actually make sure that they don't do naked TikTok videos, because actually that has going to be ramifications when you are older. We put so much of our lives online, but it can easily trace back to targeting. With artificial intelligence, the work that we do on AI security, and thinking about AI is these days, we started an introduction to artificial intelligence course for entrepreneurs and cybersecurity. And in 2019, we did the course, and it was actually the kind of spoiler alert, it was actually run by AI. So we had an AI bot. This is 2019, so it's not even generative AI. So it wasn't even as cool as AI can do stuff now. And now I could do this virtually. I could call in and I could give an entire keynote. And at the end of it, it's just people using my pictures and my voice to be able to do it. A few days ago, I saw on X or Twitter, or like I'd like to know, my angry place. So if you follow me there, you'll know I'm just really angry with the world. If you need an outlet, X/Twitter is my outlet. And it was the CEO of one of the big motor vehicle companies. And the CEO had said that he got a call from somebody from his team, and they said, sorry, I just wanted to check, what was said in that board meeting. Are we going to do the acquisition or not? And he was like, well, this is a bit of a strange call. And he's like, let me get back to you. And he then called the person up, and he was just like, did you just call me? And he's like, no. And he's like, but it sounded like you, right? So corporate espionage, leveraging AI tech, it's there, right? And so how do we build cybersecurity frameworks in a world where AI is moving so rapidly? And how do we keep our humanity in a world that is increasingly leveraging AI? And so when we think about it, a lot of the time, and I always laughed at this quote that said, I don't understand why the FBI doesn't employ more women, because if you need any dirt on anybody, you give it to her. When we find it, we will find you. And so in cybersecurity, why don't we have more women? because we are just like naturally suspicious of everything and everybody. And so kind of being on this path around security. And so when I think about kind of my career and being with you guys today, a few kind of things that I would like to leave you with. Besides my sparkling sense of humor, you know, when I think about how did I get here, the one was P, which was people. I couldn't have done it with absolutely supportive parents. My soulmate. I'm not talking about my husband, guys. Okay, calm down. Okay, my soulmate is my business partner because a good man you can find. Okay, a man you can find. We'll look for you. We'll look for you. Okay. Husbands you can find, but a good business partner, a soulmate, a woman that gets you in your most deepest, darkest moments, who sees you, right? That you got to hold on to when you find that person. And so Hema's my soulmate. I always tell my husband this. I'm like, dude, you know what? You shouldn't be worried about other men. You should actually just be worried about Hema because, she makes one call, I leave you in a heartbeat. Right? And so kind of just thinking about people and the people that you are surrounded with, right? The second one is around passion, right? And people always go find your passion, and I don't think you just have one passion. I'm on like my 5th career change. I've had so many passions, and sometimes you've got to try something, think about it, fail at it, and then kind of figure that that's not what you were truly passionate about. And I always think there's quite a number of younger looking people in this room, and I'm assuming that you're kind of in the Gen Z's session. I'm looking at you guys. I'm looking at you. And I always think about what I did in my 20s. So in my 20s, I figured out that if you could write really good motivation, somebody will pay for you to go and travel to a conference. So my dad used to call me a conferencing engineer. He's like, Nadia, every time I see you at a conference, and I literally have been to you name any of the big, I was at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Now, guys, it was so cold. I don't know why they don't do it in the Maldives. Literally, you can. Like, there is no reason except for the fact that Klaus Schwab owns Davos. And so this is just recurring revenue for him, right? We could do that meeting in a sunny, warm place, but we choose to do it in snow and cold. So I've been all the way, to Davos, to Summer Davos in China, to the IFC and the World Bank in the US, and I always got somebody else to pay for it, right? And the first time I ever paid for something was my honeymoon. Go figure. And so, think about your 20s as the years of exploration, right? Go and find yourself, go and lose yourself again, then go find yourself again, and go and find what truly matters to you in the world. Find those passions, the things that actually keep you up at night, the things that give you bags under your eyes, right? And right now it's kids and cybersecurity, but I advise both /1, depends on where you stand. The third thing is peace for profit. Now people will be like, no, don't chase the money. The money will come to you. Yes, manifest billions, but actually go out and work for it, right? But build generational wealth. And for me, that generational wealth piece has become so important around the legacies that we leave behind, because to be honest, money is what makes the world go round, right? And so when you have money right now, and I'd love to say that actually it's not, but it is, right? Because I did it's such an interesting case study. So WOMA, we've been around for like 20 years, right? Well, through WOMA and 6 years at WOMA. Nobody paid attention to us. Suddenly I put investor and we raised a $30 million venture capital fund, and everybody assumes we've got $30 million. You can just put it out there. I know people who are raising $150 million fund, guys, they have no money. Fund managers, biggest joke. So, but the assumption of money, right, gives you everybody. They're like, Nadia, can you please be on our panel? Nadia, can you? We want to invite you guys, but you guys wanted me on your panel before you knew about the venture capital fund. So you guys are different. You guys have been stalking me before that. You have been trying for a long time, and I apologize. But that so build that wealth out, make smart investments and make smart choices with your money, right? Because that's the way in which you're able to leverage opportunities. When I started working, I bought my first apartment because I realized that actually if I have to rent it, figured it out if I bought really well, could rent it out, and then that money could kind of pay for my other place, the nicer place that I actually wanted to live in, right? And that was my first apartment, and then I leveraged that to be able to buy a second apartment, and then I bought my home, and when I wanted to buy my home, I could sell the apartments because then I had it. And when you have that financial track record, then suddenly everybody's giving you prime, prime minus. And when you actually normally go to the bank, everybody's like, no, prime plus 8. Guys, what is prime plus 8, right? Please get out, right? So think about what your financial standing and generational wealth is. And I always say we didn't come from money, so this is how we built brick by brick. And when I look at WIMHub, we didn't have investor money, so everything what there is built by blood, sweat, and tears. And so profit is really important when thinking about it. And as women, we need to be okay with saying we like money, we like more money, because more money. I used to say, like back in my day when I was young and used to wear beautiful shoes, I would say that money used to buy shoes, and the shoes don't come cheap, guys. Nappies. Wow. Again. The amount that I have spent on nappies. So nappies don't buy themselves, and so you've got to think about profit, profitability in your own finances. And that's the story I always tell. I used to have a terrible relationship with money, and I've helped so many people because somebody helped me to actually see that without money, we aren't able to unlock opportunity and potential. And then the last thing is have fun, right? Because we only get this one chance at life. A couple of years ago, when in the height of COVID, I got really sick. My dad was on a ventilator for 3 weeks, and he was touch and go. We didn't know that he was one of the 5% that made it in that particular situation, and I got long COVID. So COVID attacked my heart, and so I had an irregular heartbeat. So I'd be standing here, and my heart would just spike. Like I was running a marathon, and guys, I'm not a marathon runner, so like, and I would have brain fog, so I would be talking to you, and then I would just forget a word. And as a leader, and people who look up to you, and they put you on these pedestals, right? It was the most devastating thing, right? Because you start to peel off the layers and go, who am I as a person, right? If I can't be perfect as a poster girl, and you lose the idea of what perfection actually looks like, and you start to actually just have fun with who you are as a person. And so go out there and have fun, get yourself into trouble and out of trouble, go and travel the world, go and live somewhere else, and then come back. We were laughing about German because I can actually speak German. Yes, I do. Ich spreche Deutsch. Yeah. Yeah, bitteschön. Because I lived for 8 months in Germany. My husband is Turkish, actually, like shameless punt. The Turkish restaurant downstairs is my husband's restaurant. And I learned to speak Turkish as well. I mean, like foreign affairs. At some point, somebody was like, Nadia, you're the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I'm just like, maybe I am. Maybe I am the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So go out, have foreign affairs, guys. You want to go that way. And go and make a meaning, and make everybody's like, find the meaning of life, find what life means to you, because it means different things to everybody else, and create your own expectations and your own joy. Thanks. Sure.
That was amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. And so far, the sense of humor, I love it. I love it. Do we have any questions? Okay, Jade. Okay, please come up.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm not sure where I should be standing. It feels.
Yeah, you're perfect there.
So what you said earlier, I really liked what you said about women, being ideal candidates for working for the FBI because we've got skills. Currently, I'm actually low key spying on my boyfriend who's at home through my washing machine, making sure that he's getting my laundry done. But I'm actually in the process of what's the word now? Transferring my career to a more cybersecurity related role. So I really enjoyed that little discussion that you had over there, and I'd sort of like to hear what is your ultimate top tip on you know, making a career change to something that you're really passionate about, and how you would make it work, given that you have had multiple career changes in your time.
No, perfect. And trust me, I spy on everybody. Of my house's cameras that people don't know about. In decent places, guys. There's no bathroom cams. um, but and this is why I love this moment in time right now, because the barrier to entry to almost any industry, unless like you in like medicine, is really low, right? So you can go, and when I started learning about AI and data science and machine learning, I literally went online and took a course that was done by Harvard University. Not necessarily saying that they're the best. But you can do any course, you can learn anything online in half the amount of time. And then, you know, I've spoken a lot about the future of work and education, and a lot of the work that I was doing with the World Economic Forum was on the future of work and education. And we're moving away from like big degrees and actually modularized learning. And so one of the team members at Cisco that sit in our office, she comes from rural KwaZulu-Natal. She taught herself cybersecurity on YouTube. Right. And then she got hired by Cisco, and she now sits in our office, and she supports all the cybersecurity use cases. So the barrier to entry is super low. You can learn anything online, like literally anything online. The other day I was like, how do I do this? We were short a graphic design. I downloaded Canva. Also, ChatGPT is like my friend. Like I call him Chad. So Chad, I'm just like, when everybody is like, no, Chad's going to be able to give us some ideas. And Chad has been writing my press releases. Chad writes my emails. Chad writes my reports. You know, Chad's the man. Chad's the man. And Chad teaches me stuff. And so the other day, my transplant, she's 13 years old. She came from Turkey. She couldn't speak a word of English. A few months ago, and I was like, we're going to download ChatGPT on your tablet, and all the stuff you're going to do is whatever people say, we're going to have real-time translation, and we're going to help you to translate all the knowledge into Turkish so that you can understand it. In 6 months, she's been able to speak pretty good English. She's been able to do maths and stuff like that. And so if you're thinking about career shifts, some modularized learning. If you want to do the certificates, I never paid the, $500 for the certificate from Harvard. Screw you, Harvard. I was just like, I've got the skill. I don't need anybody to certify me because I'm an engineer. But go and do that. Just and then look at opportunities within your own business to be able to kind of put up your hand and say, hi, I'd like to do that. And go for it. Good luck. Okay.
Hi, Nadia. Thank you for this. I almost feel emotional actually listening to you and just having a reference for someone who is much further ahead and has done what you've done. So my question is quite simple. I've never done this publicly or did a proposal before in this way, but please will you be my mentor? I know you mentioned that you have a soulmate, but maybe we could be soul mentees.
I mean, so firstly, thank you for that.
Also, I'm totally joking. You're probably a very busy person, but I just wanted to say thank you.
So a few things that I've learned in my career, right? Because I was that person, right, who always asked. And so first I'm going to say yes, because you asked, right? Now don't all ask, because now the first one is the first one who asked. But I take mentoring very serious, right? You sign a contract with me; it is very deliberate. We talk about outcomes, like it's like super hectic. We're working on something, not like, oh Nadia, you're so amazing. Please be my mentor. Like, what are we working towards, right? So if we're working towards $1 billion, then we know exactly where we need to focus on. But I've never said no to a coffee, virtual or otherwise. And so people like DM me on LinkedIn, because I on LinkedIn only, guys, not on like all this other just not on X. And I've had some of the worst conversations, but also the greatest conversations, and you never know where it's going to lead. And I just think that I'm always better for it in the kind of, it's either a hilarious story of how I like had this most interesting conversation, or guys, this random person. and I don't even know how they got hold of me, but like, and you grow your network this way. And so I always say my proverbial door is always open. I live at my office in Somerset Road in Greenpoint. Either that, or if I'm always hungry, you'll find me downstairs. But actually, I'm never there. People don't actually know who I am there. So if you go and try and get a table and you're like, Nadia sent me, they'll be like, who's Nadia? Also, we had a cybersecurity incident at the restaurant. So we've put some very strict principles because they had a WhatsApp person sending them, asking them for vouchers. And it was like, hey, it's boss lady. Can you please send me some vouchers? And I was like, so now we have a joke about, because I would never call myself boss lady. So the leadership lesson is that most of the time as a leader, you actually more the janitor than you are the CEO, right? You're just cleaning up everybody's mess. And so I will never call myself boss lady now, except as a joke. So the quick answer is yes, but anybody else who'd kind of want some support or just kind of have some questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. Don't find me on X. I'm really just angry on X with the world. Don't find me there. Yeah. And you can follow me on Instagram. It's actually just pictures of food, mostly. Lots of Turkish food, actually. But yeah, no, very, very cool. And I look forward to learning from you as well, because I think that mentoring is always, both of us are enriched throughout the process.
Thank you so much, Nadia. That was absolutely amazing. Yes, her husband does own the restaurant downstairs. I do know that. I nearly asked for a voucher, but cybersecurity. So I won't do that. But yes, thank you so much. I also do have a story about wanting to be a lawyer, and it was a very interesting career choice option in a sense that the varsity college was like, hey, you're doing well with your one module of law that I did at that time. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Bursary. When I got my essays back, guess what the lecturers used to say to my essays? You are too creative, Namfundo. You need to stick to the fact. And I'm like, I know he's guilty, but I know that I can get him a not guilty judgment if you just let me play out the scenario of what could have happened that led this individual to actually do all of this, to a point that we had like a mood court where we had to, be lawyers and actually we're doing this, we're doing it, and we're in the moment. And my team member and I, and we're still very close friends till this day, she was like, you are not going to talk at the next level of our mood court because I did not stick to the fact. Our person was guilty, and I was convincing everyone like, they're not guilty, they must be sick. I even found a disease for it, that where you steal stuff but you don't sell them for profit or anything like that. And then a year later, I decided to drop out because I felt like it was limiting me in my terms of my creativeness and doing what I actually wanted to do. So I thought maybe finance. No. First thing is first, I do love money. And I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, liabilities, assets, last in, first out. I'm like, no, it's not going to be good. So I did technology, and that's where I am today. And I love that so far both our speakers are talking about that, going from one career to the next career. A colleague of mine asked me, Namfundo, what are you passionate about? I'm like, I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing to the best of my ability. Even if things are not going okay, I'm going to do it with the most 100% passion, like till the very end. Okay. So, yeah. And a colleague of mine actually mentioned something while we were dancing there, just so that you guys know. He's here. Piaget was like, we were, I'm sorry, Piaget. we were outside, and it was like raining, and I'm busy dancing, I'm always dancing. I'm always doing something random in the office, singing, dancing. I'm doing something. There was music playing inside. I'm outside just chilling. He's like, this doesn't make sense to me, Namfundo. there's music playing, you're not dancing, but when there's no music playing, you're dancing. I'm like, the playlist is here, it's here. This one, it's not going in the order that I needed to go, you know? So that moment, I was just like, something is going, things are going wrong. And then my PB was like, Nafunda, you're talking to yourself. I'm like, yes, I do talk to myself. Everyone talks to themselves, right? And he's like, it really starts being a problem when you answer yourself. I'm like, well, that went many moons ago. I answer myself. You will find me sitting at my desk having a full-on blown conversation, be like, Nafundo, you need to relax. And be like, but we got to do this. We are women. We are strong. We are powerful. We are relentless. It's like a pep talk, okay? We are ready for our next speaker. All right. We are ready for our next speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm thrilled to introduce a woman who shares my passion for using technology as a force for good. With over a decade of experience bridging the digital divide, Lisa is a true champion for underserved communities. From AI-powered chatbots to global tech leadership, she's redefining what it means to use technology for social impact. I can't wait to hear more about her incredible project. So let us give her a warm welcome.
Mic check. You can hear me? You're awake? Good evening, everyone. Molweni, assalamu alaikum. Awe, everyone. I have the wonderful opportunity of going lost and hoping to keep you all interested and excited. I can now identify as a mentee of Nadia. All right. Are we ready to go? Obviously, we work in tech, so sometimes our solutions are a little bit hacky. So we've got someone over here with my presentation, and I've got my MacBook. But I'm a tired woman in tech, and I wanted to really deliver this well today. So I need my speaking notes in front of me. All right, cool. So debugging reality, women in tech. Yeah, we've had some fine speakers here today. I appreciate that. Please brace yourself. My talk I'm Lisa, so it's always a little controversial. We'll get a little serious. And for the techies, I hope you find the Easter eggs of jokes in my presentation. But I feel like I take Women's Month very seriously, and I wanted to try some new things. So work with me. All right, so today, we gathered here in anticipation of Women's Day in South Africa, and I think it's always important to remember what it means. Women's Day commemorates the 20,000 women who marched to the Union buildings in Pretoria on August 9th, 1956. They protested against the pass laws that restricted the movement of Black South Africans. And this day is a powerful reminder of the strength, the resilience, and the commitment and spirit of women in our country. It's a day to honor the contributions of all women in our society and to reflect on the ongoing struggles of equality and justice. However, the march was not solely about pass laws, and I'm not sure many people understand that. It also highlighted broader issues of racial and gender oppression faced by Black South African women. The march was organized by the Federation of South African Women and brought together women from various racial and socio-economic backgrounds united in their stand against apartheid's oppressive policies. So I think it's important that everyone is reminded that this significant event was not just a catalyst for the protest against pass laws for women, but the broader context encompassed a fight against systematic racial discrimination and gender inequality. The Women's March is a symbol of resistance not only against specific apartheid policies, but also against the broader injustices faced by women in South Africa and still today. And I like to keep this in mind as we think about what our resistance should look like today. As you can tell, I'm also an activist. So to warm us up, I thought I'd ask this question. However, some of the wonderful power women, it's a bit hard for me to really drill the point on this one, but I'll try. So when you think about what a technology CEO looks like, do you picture someone like me, or do you imagine a guy named John?
Yes, a guy named John.
It's probably John. We'll leave Adam. We want to come back and do this again. So, a fun fact about that is in 2023, the number of female CEOs finally outnumbered the number of CEOs actually named John. However, women still hold only about 8% of positions, while representing more than 50% of the population. Next slide, please. That's me as a kid. See, I still have the same enthusiasm in my eyes. So when I was asked to speak tonight, I was given the freedom to choose what I felt was my most valuable contribution as a woman in tech. Or as I like to say these days, a tired woman in tech. And to be honest, I get asked to do these kinds of things a lot. And I really wanted to do something a bit different this year, as I mentioned. I'm a bit fatigued on the age-old conversations about being a woman in tech, providing data on the persistent lack of equality, equity, and inclusion, and pleading and negotiating with the tech community to respect me as John. So instead, I hope that you will hold space for me this evening and be open-minded. I want to talk to you about what it really means and takes for a woman like me to stop asking for spaces at tables that aren't always welcoming of me and create new ones, and what it means to have the grit to actually do that. Grit will be a key word tonight. Be testing you. All right, so you can keep on that slide. This is just here to add some beauty to my presentation. So hi, I'm Lisa. I have a 4-year career building technology products and teams. I've held global technology director roles, and I'm currently the CEO and founder of Citizen Code, a tech for impact organization. I have built a range of technology products in the digital health industry, and I've spent time in the e-commerce industry. It was my sabbatical. And have mostly been obsessed with the ways in which we create accessible technology, regardless of whether that is in the civil society space or in the for-profit industry. Cool. I'm a 34-year-old colored woman born in the Cape Flats, a region of the Western Cape where the apartheid government forcibly relocated my grandparents, revoking their homes without compensation or dignity. Many forces shaped my destiny. Systematic oppression was a definite fathering figure of my DNA. I was born to a 16-year-old teenager into a community filled with substance abuse without a father, and exposed to abuse, drugs, gangsterism, sexual violence, and the deep sense of shame for who I am and where I come from. I'm definitely not John, the CEO. I guess talking about some of these factors of my environment and the complex shame that comes with identities like mine can definitely make a professional crowd feel a little uneasy or uncomfortable. So if you're feeling that, good. Yeah. It doesn't seem very professional, right? To share so much about who I am, struggles, and my disadvantages, or perhaps to hold a mirror to some of the privileges in the crowd here tonight. Next slide, please. Cool, the code switch, assimilation algorithms. I've wrestled with this for a very long time. How do I bridge who I am with the work that I do, and is that even necessary? As women of color, for many of us, this is important for us to unpack. We have this additional API in our brains that links to an external source of data called the code switch. I thought that was clever. This mysterious piece of middleware is an advanced detection system that identifies when we are in professional settings and when we need to be a bit more white. Once activated, we have access to new voiceovers, filters, dress codes, personalities, and blending capabilities that often gets us called sturvy, where I'm from. It's a conscious switch we use to assimilate to Western ideologies of professionalism. I guess you could say my mission in my work as a tech leader and an entrepreneur is to really bring to light how we can better understand this as it is, and it being an enormous extra labor that many of us have to take on, assimilation. Next slide, please. But the way that the world is currently set up, and I'm very cautious with giving advice to people and going, do things this way or that way. So please take it with a pinch of salt. Assimilation can be a useful tool because in the way that the world is set up at the moment, the faster you blend, the faster you grow, right? And the more palatable you are in traditionally white spaces. During my 20s, as I started building my career, I had a huge range of experiences from being treated really badly to also having incredible experiences with people who championed my growth and wonderful examples of white allyship in the space. These experiences, whether good or bad, played equal parts in my current ability to better understand people and how to run teams. The major challenge for me when I embarked on my journey as an entrepreneur was now realizing that I could no longer assimilate or blend in. I had to figure out how to be different. And a major shift happened for me when I really started to understand that now I needed to and have the opportunity to build a tech company that is different, and that this difference relies on opening doors and building new blueprints to show how to be more me in my company, in my brand, and helping my clients fully benefit from the authenticity of true diversity. But nobody really prepared me for what being that bold would really mean. Hence my proposal to Nadia. Showing up in the industry with authenticity, diversity, a changed language for how we speak. I mean, you can think about meetings as South Africans. It's quite normal to go into a meeting and say, how's it put? But if I came in and I said, I wear my second, that's very different, right? So with this change language and this change in ways we speak and how we look, and also not internalizing the shame of where we come from. It sounds like the dream, and it really truly is. But not everyone will be excited for that dream and happy for that kind of success. And that is a tough pill to swallow, especially as the generation, or my generation post-apartheid, we were the rainbow generation. Everything was going to be okay, and it's not. As a collective of women, I'm sure that we can all agree here this evening across racial and economic divides in the space. It often feels like everyone is championing us to be power women, for Shini and all their t-shirts. Until you really do become powerful enough to eventually become your manager's competition or your own company's competition. Suddenly, there are glass ceilings where you are no longer teachable anymore, or where you no longer are a charity case, or you are no longer timid and needing help. Support to us usually comes from savior complexes. For John, the CEO, all of those things would be identified as bravery, admiration, honor. And for us, it's audacity. Next slide, please. Hacking the system, grit reimagined. As I've moved into the space of learning and growing in my womanhood, in my spirituality, and as a tech leader and entrepreneur, I want us to think deeply about how success is defined. Traditionally, success could maybe simply be defined as having strong social intelligence, good looks, or perfect teeth, not necessarily IQ. And these definitions need to change. There are many of us who have now entered this space, built a new table, and now need to extend our vocabularies, our metrics of success, and our ideas of what people look and sound like. I went to a startup awards earlier this year in Cape Town, and the entire panel was white males. There wasn't a single person of color or woman on that platform. And it made me think, maybe it's just not understood what success really means to us. How are we measured? when we have different starting points. And sometimes, the stories in our failures are actually our successes. The more you fail, the more you're going to learn, the faster you're going to move forward. And so I take it as my personal mission to crack that open and hold people accountable and go, maybe I need an award for taking on a lot of mansplaining this year. But I don't have all the answers yet, unfortunately, with some magic formula for all of this. I'm still finding my own feet in the space. But if I were to add one single characteristic to these new definitions for women like me, it would be grit. Angela Duckworth defines grit as passion and long-term goals, having stamina, sticking with your future day in and day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, right? Working really hard to make sure that that future becomes a reality. She also mentions that it's not just about having talent, but relentlessly pursuing long-term goals despite the challenges. Those are great textbook bullet points, right? But I think grit for female entrepreneurs and tech leaders building a business, and for women like me, it requires a much more thoughtful definition. I need more. I need more from Nadia. I need more from our leaders in the space. So I think as a starting point, I'd like to define grit in this way. Grit is walking through the doors that don't always welcome you, but being steady in your belief that you have earned that space. It is a lot of self-work to be steady in that way. It is a lot of confidence in who you are, and the more committed you are to yourself and your self-discovery, the easier this becomes. I can't echo both your sentiments hard enough on that. Is the thing that surprised me a lot about being an entrepreneur is how much I was going to learn about me. Grit is understanding how not to push people away with your rage about all the ways in which they undermine, disrespect, or underestimate us. And it's valid. You should feel that way. You should be angry. But knowing that you have a longer term vision that sometimes needs to be built on conversations that hold space for teaching people how to treat you. Grit is being dedicated to asking for your worth, even when it feels scary. It's really scary. It's one of the biggest difficulties I've had is just saying, this is how much my team is worth. We need to be paid ahead of time. Make sure your commitment is strong because the people who work with me need to be paid. We don't rely on capital wealth. Grit is standing on these podiums, dressed in your discourse, your history, and where you come from, and learning that it can be your greatest weapon to success. Because people like me, we've been through some shit, and that's okay. I think I speak to a lot of people who go, yeah, I'd like to become a leader or an entrepreneur, but I'm so afraid that someone will find out this or that about me. When you've come from troubled communities, you would have probably done some troubling crap along the way. But that's part of your journey and that's part of your learning, and it shouldn't deter you from moving forward. Lastly, grit is breaking the molds that require the westernization of our ways of working, our speaking, and our showing up. In conclusion, grit as a woman in tech is the power to move through this world steadily, patiently, learning about yourself, seeing every failure as an opportunity to grow. In fact, getting excited. I know when the failure is happening, it's a test, and I'm excited because I want to learn. And being dressed in your discourse in ways that you can now normalize and use to influence building better connected and understood teams, products with real-world foundations, and having the audacity to become your previous employer's competition. I hope they don't see this. Having more entrepreneurs and CEOs is no longer just about the best person to be in technology innovation. I know wonderful engineers. Sometimes it's simply just not enough. It's about valuing the skills that women like us bring to the table in our understanding that technology day is fast becoming much more about building through connectedness in every aspect of how we do business. And that this is key to ensuring that Africa takes its rightful place on the global technology map. Next slide, please. Oh, you should have seen this earlier. We can move. Again. I really want to take the opportunity to thank my team tonight. These are the people that work for Citizen Code, and we've taken a very unconventional approach to business. We literally were a group of friends who are masters at their craft, and we're excited about making the better place. And we came together, and it's now a business. They're now billable time when I speak to them. And I really appreciate every single one of them for believing in a vision to have a woman-led team and a technology team and putting up with all the crazy ideas and the difficulties. I think looking at this slide, it always gives me all the feelings because it's a beautiful piece of art, isn't it? So thank you and shout out to the Citizen Code team. And I thought about, we have lots of videos with all the cool things that we do. We're very cool people. We understand Gen Zs. We build products for Gen Zs. We know how to retain them and engage them. But I thought to close off this evening, I really wanted to show you an example, and it's a really short snippet of how teams like this produce diverse work and diverse thinking. We build lots of chatbot products that is focused on sexual health. How do you make sexual health sexy to young people, right? You really have to think out of the box, and you really have to you lean on your own experience and your own communities. And last year, we had this wonderful opportunity with our primary partner to think about how we can do activation in communities. And personally, I've always loved graffiti and murals. And we gathered a bunch of artists, graffiti artists, technologists, marketing experts, all of us in the room, and we figured out how you effectively launch a chatbot on a wall in the township, in our communities where we're from. And I just would like to show you what that can actually look like when you have deep collaboration and diverse teams. Oh.
We're gonna outline our sketches. Romy's gonna use the scaffolding, I'm gonna use the ladder. But then once we're done outlining, I'm gonna assist Romy because she'll be up on the scaffolding, just like passing brushes, putting where I need to. And then when we're done with that side, do my character, and then focus vice versa. And then details afterwards. So murals are about safe places and a young woman archetype searching for answers, seeking meaning, and just like peering into their own mental space. And as the story unfolds, they come across access to a device, whether it be a cell phone, mobile, laptop, desktop, and from there they can then ask the questions that have been weighing on their minds. Paint job matters to me because I myself am a young woman, so I can resonate with the issues spoken about through this activation.
Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful Women's Day.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Lisa?
No.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
Oh, must I? Okay. I've been around the block a few times, and I'm always astounded when I meet someone who's such a natural leader. You've got the goods, babes. Telling you now. And when you look back a few decades from now, remember I said so. Completely have the goods. Total self-acceptance. You really know who you are. You know where you're going. The clarity is astounding. Natural leader. Nice work.
I could do with another mentor.
You've got the best in yourself. I call Adam to find out about your sector.
Very nice. Any other questions? Anyone? You look like you want to ask a question.
Alisa,
Yes, Ian.
what advice would you give to Gen Z looking to be like you, a young entrepreneur from the communities, successful, awesome? Yeah.
Um, that's a long answer. But I think generally is, like Nadia was saying, there's so much ways in which to learn that is just unconventional. I love the term modularized learning. I think that's really important is just, if you want to do something, there are so many ways to access learning material and to just stay committed to yourself in that way. I think the best thing that I could have done coming out of my community, and it's a scary conversation, when I go back to the spaces that I come from, and I see my friends or people I went to school with who are, drug addicts and they're living on the streets, they prostitutes. I can barely recognize some of them when they greet me in the streets and they idolize me when I come back in that space. But I think that what is needed in that society is just a strong belief that, you've got to work on yourself first. And trauma is not something that is going to deter you from your success. It can be your biggest weapon if you really work with it. And I like to joke, I always like to tell people, there've been many moments in my career or even with my family, people come look to me and they go, oh, you're so successful and I'm so proud of you. You work so hard and you're so committed and you don't stop. Aren't you tired all the time? And sometimes I want to just say like, oh, it's a trauma response.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, you should ask me if I'm okay. So I think you can, if you learn to sort of like hone that and take your desires and really move forward in the world and learn how to work with different kinds of people, right? I think that is the key to success, is just a strong sense of self. Take your traumas, work on it. Don't show up at work with that stuff. It doesn't really get you very far. And, look for leadership and mentorship in every space. Like I stood up and I asked Nadia, please, can you mentor me, right? The people, bulk opportunities, learn as much as you can. In my spirituality and my own growth in that space, I've learned something so valuable. I can't preach on this enough. It's just seeing everything as a test. Whatever happens, good or bad, it's a test. And decide how you want to show up to that. And I swear to you, if you exercise that muscle hard enough, everything else is just easier, the way you walk through the world. That's my answer, I guess.
Very nice. Do we have one more time for one more question? Yes.
Yes, hello. Also, you're speaking about the leadership part. I've seen when it comes to leadership, there's like a line between when you have to like put your foot down and then also be like the understanding one and knowing like people do have other stuff going on. Like, how do you differentiate between knowing when, okay, this is like enough, and then it's like being understanding and being like compassionate, and also like being vulnerable with your team and knowing, okay, like you've made a mistake or something has happened, but now you need to understand like how do you go about understanding like your team and knowing exactly when to make tough decisions in that factor?
Such a good question. I think a lot of it, primarily, like my operating system for that is to lead from the back all the time and empower people to feel like they have autonomy. And even if they make mistakes, it's okay. Let them make mistakes and you learn and you push them forward together. I think that, finding the moments where your team, it comes down to psychological safety. Your team needs to trust that they will know if you have a good team, they will come to you when they want you to lead from the front. And they'll say, I need you to be the decision maker right now. Or they just naturally accept it and they celebrate it, right? And know you'll step back out again and give them the space to lead themselves. So I think that's sort of like how I just operate around that. And we have a lot of, different models, like I was speaking about, like a different language. It's not a westernized ideology of how our meetings should even be done. We deal with the topics of sexual health all the time. I think the kinds of things that get said in our meetings are crazy sometimes. Like the latest, I'll give you an example. Doing a rebrand for a Mobi site. And in the user interface designs, the doodles look like penises. And so we have to get comfortable with being able to say these things in meetings all the time. We're like, no, the penis is there. The penis looks too big. No, I don't like the color of, we have like conversations where like in the chatbot, the most popular topic in that chatbot is discharge. And one day I was working from home, and this feeds into the team, and it becomes safety and comfort. My kid was at home that day, and we were having our chatbot was just failing. It was misinterpreting discharge and going like anything that included the word discharge was getting a message that's saying, "Oh no, your boyfriend wants to break up with you." Probably doing a bit more damage here than good. But my kid came to me at the end of the day, and she's like, "Goodness. If you say discharge one more time today, you said it at least 500 times. Green discharge, purple discharge." No. Because we had to feed these data sets to really understand all kinds of questions around that. And we have really vulnerable conversations too inside of our safeguarding is a massive factor in the work that we do. I'm building robots to help you navigate through some of life's toughest situations. I need to know when I need to stop and you need to be handed over to a human for intervention, or if there's something you said that is a sensitive disclosure, for example, right? So we come up pre-GPT, we're all kind of smart. So we had to hack around NLPs and using Google Sheets to do lookups for words and things like that. So there was a lot of manual training that we did. Sorry, this is a long answer to your question. And there was a time we had to come up with at least 2,000 ways in which a young woman would ask for help around gender-based violence. That wasn't even the shocker. For me, the shocker was that we could come up with 2,000 ways. And this was like before I could, hey, what do you call GPT? Chad? Chad, can you create me 2,000 different ways in which someone would ask something like that? And we have to apply a personal touch. It's us. We have to go, this is how a young woman from South Africa may ask this question. And it opens up a lot of vulnerability in our teams. I have to approach my teams from a trauma-informed sort of like practice. I know that the work may trigger someone. I know somebody may need time off after dealing with data sets of this size. Some things may come up. Somebody may even discover that something's happened to them and they didn't know that it was wrong. The work is really complex, but I think we have a very special opportunity in our team where we have very deep conversations, very vulnerable conversations, and that has built a lot of trust. And I think if big corporates could just, stop acting like we aren't humans and we don't have lives and things don't happen to us, and we just act a little bit more human, it's built such a trust in our leadership capacity. And I think that's the magic at Citizen Code, at least.
Anyone else? I could just actually stand here and listen to you so much longer. Lots of questions now.
Hello. I've been meaning to ask the question, but to speak on the mic is the mission. Anyway, I've been thinking and listening to our speaker today, and I've grab a lot for myself now. The questions just come in now, and it's like, how do you know? How do you make sure that you don't lose yourself? Let's say I'm a girl from the township. I've been struggling as I grow up. I made it. Now I'm this woman who has my own business and it's going well and I'm making a lot of profit and going places. My dream is coming true. So how do you make sure that you don't lose yourself and become someone that you're not? Do you understand what I'm saying? Some people change when they have money.
Mhm.
You're not the same person as when you started your business. You will change. So how do you like get yourself back and try to remind yourself, why did you start this business? Why are you doing this? Yes, it's for money because we all need money, like Nadia said. But yeah.
Yeah. I think I have it easy, to be honest with you. I think specifically me, because I've managed to bridge my work to something that's so deeply personal for me. It's almost a vendetta, if anything. I was a young girl who was sexually assaulted, and I dealt with a lot of abuse in a personal capacity. And I've been committed to therapy. My therapist loves to joke that I have an honorary PhD because I've been there for so long. But I think that, you know, beyond therapy and dealing with the things that happen to us in the communities that we come from, it's so important to find purpose in your trauma, right? And I think when you operate from that space, whatever you do, right, is to really find the magic in doing this for the greater good of something. Whether it's selling clothes, building GBV chatbots, whatever it is, do it from a good place. Do everything from that place. And I think if you do it from that place, it sort of naturally makes you hold yourself accountable to that mission. I found that I think I've gotten so good at this that my friends are actually worried about me because I achieved some financial goals recently, and hit a few milestones, and I didn't even notice, right? Because in that day, I was just so focused and excited on these new projects that were coming in. But there's an element of like I'm unattached in a way. It's great, but I don't hold on to it. Also, coming from nothing, you know very well that money matters. And I think I just keep myself sort of at a healthy distance from greed and just knowing what is enough and not going beyond that point.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. Yeah, amazing.
I think there was one more question.
I think we slowly need to we can. You're welcome to ask the question afterwards in private then. Okay, let's do one more question, but then let's wrap up. Keep it short, Lisa.
Okay.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. To all the speakers, you guys were great, amazing work. I just have one question. How do you deal with self-doubt? Because coming into the world of tech, it's like dominated by men, obviously, and it's like a pressure like on us women when we feel like we have to meet that standard, and it just comes to putting you keep telling yourself, oh no, I can't get there, because these are people that are good at what they do. Some of us just get into university, choose a major, and you're like, oh well, tech, it's interesting, and you actually fall in love with it. But to get into the work, like to the real world, and actually do projects, especially with coding, I kind of have a problem with that, especially with self-doubt. Yeah.
Well, Adam, I'll keep it short, I swear. I think, I spoke about audacity earlier. I think from very early on, I had a lot of audacity to walk into a space, and I actually have my mother to thank for this. She simply told me, fake it till you make it. Go and interview for that job, land the job, convince them you can do it, and you can figure it out later. I think that there's a lot to be said about just, pushing yourself to that point, and then you panic and you go, oh crap, I've got to show them that I can actually do it now. But you'll learn, and you'll learn really fast. And I think when it comes to self-doubt, what I've just learned to do lately is to really think deeply about decolonizing the spaces that we work in and the technology spaces that we're in. Who said that that was the right way to do things? Who said that that was the right way to approach a meeting? Who said that the loudest person in the room is the smartest person in the room? Just keep questioning that and like sort of decolonize the space for yourself, and you will learn that those people are sometimes not actually the smartest person, and it will build your self-confidence as well.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to slowly wrap up. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Amazing talk. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's been an incredible evening, and I must say, I feel very honored to stand on a stage with such amazing women leaders. Really amazing. Thank you. We're just going to say a few words of gratitude. So if the speakers could just come up to the stage, and Amy and the AXO Women Group have prepared a thank you. So please, can you just come up? Maybe just come, yeah, there you go, yeah, all good. There you go. Okay. Yeah, please, a big round of applause. Absolutely phenomenal talks, so inspiring, amazing. Thank you very much for coming and sharing those thoughts with us. Thank you very much. And obviously, there you go, maybe Kaji, you can just stay here. All of this is not possible without the ladies who actually have made this all possible today. And that's part of the AXO Women Group. So we have Nomfundo and Amy and Lara. This has been many weeks or probably even months. You allowed to also take center stage, please. So Piaget, maybe you can hand. There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Lara. Yeah, big round of applause. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. She takes food vouchers. I wonder which restaurant is your favorite restaurant? Oh, downstairs. Okay. Thank you very much. And then obviously, besides the women organizers, there are many other people in the company who have participated to make this actually possible, from the streaming, the technology, LaRue and PJ sitting there watching the streaming, Conray, who was doing the technology around all the audio stuff. So there were many other people, Jabulo, Piaget, I don't know where the others are, back in the very back there, the bartender. So many people actually have to put a lot of work in to put this together. So thank you very much for doing that. And then finally, thank you for attending. Yeah, you're a great crowd. So thank you very much for coming. And in March, we'll be having our next Women in Tech event. So that is International Women's Day. And yeah, we're slowly growing the community and reaching out to more and more women from all the different groups and communities around Cape Town, and hopefully we can make a difference. Thank you very much. Please stay around if you'd like to speak to one of the speakers. We still have also snacks and drinks. Otherwise, I wish you guys all a safe travel home and see you next time. Thank you.